Once upon a time, there used to be a king, right? And he has a beautiful uh, little elephant, a baby elephant. And he is in love with this baby elephant a lot. And a day wouldn't pass by to him without spending some quality time with that baby elephant. Uh, so one day the king is so disturbed about the fact that probably once it grows older, it may not have the same kind of chubbiness or cuteness or beauty of this youthful or young little cub. So now he wanted to have a paint of that little baby elephant. So he calls for one of the greatest painters that is available, who is available in the country, and he finds one and commissions the painting. But the painter has got one condition. The condition is nobody should disturb him or the elephant for 30 days and they should be left alone. So the king was heartbroken that he couldn't spend time with this baby elephant for 30 days, but nevertheless, he made that sacrifice and agreed to that. And days went by. By the day 29 is about to complete, the king grew restless. Okay. And he wanted to see, I mean, probably the 95, 99% of the picture might be ready by this time. So, in the night, secretly, the king enters the chamber of this painter, and when he entered, I mean, like, the painter is fast asleep, and the elephant was lying somewhere, I mean, the other side of the room, and when he looked at the canvas, the king got furious. I mean, there is nothing on it, not even a single stroke, not even a single line. So he got very angry and went back to his chambers. And in the morning, he summoned his ministers to get the painter and he wanted to behead him. Okay. Then he asked, he told the painter that if you want to enjoy the royal food or the royal this thing, you could have asked. I mean, you wasted 29 days, right, of my precious time. I mean, I didn't see a single line. So for that, the painter said, okay, let me get my paints, brushes and canvas. And within no time, he painted one of the most beautiful pictures, I mean, which is like alive in no time. And the king was flabbergasted, I mean, surprised. And he said, I mean, if you have this much of talent, why did you ask for 30 days? For that, the painter said, Your Majesty, why can't you ask your men to fetch some of my sketches on the other side of the room? I mean, they brought all the sketches, and when they brought them, I mean, there is piles and piles of rough sketches that the painter has drawn in the last 29 days. And he told the king, Sir, for past 29 days, I have been painting this baby elephant in all possible angles. So to register it in my mind and from which angle, from which light it appears the best. So I don't need an elephant even to paint that. It's all in there. Okay. So welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Suresh, your mentor for the 4-day Holistic Diabetes Reversal program. The reason why I narrated this story is it is closely related to the topic that we are going to discuss today. That is why we are unable to reverse diabetes. On day 1, we discussed the amazing potential of body, and we discussed also that the body renews itself, right, on a regular basis. Billions and billions of new cells are forming, but still, right, we are getting this problem of diabetes. Why? When we looked into the story, I mean, of diabetes, we understood what are all the mistakes that we are doing. And even though we are suffering with this diabetes, this particular diabetes, we are not serious about this and we end up having complications that we discussed on day 3. Why we need to take serious note of diabetes. It is not a simple inconvenient disease, right? From inside, how the diabetes is killing us, how it is accelerating the aging process or the rusting process or leading into complications, that we discussed in chapter number 3, the need to reverse. But despite suffering with diabetes, despite suffering with its complications for so many years, why, if the body has the capacity, why we are unable to? Okay, we are all going to the best possible doctors and trying the best possible medicine, hospitals and diagnostics. Then why? Okay, for that this story is relevant. The doctors you are going to are like these painters. The painter contains extraordinary ability, right, which has come with years and years of practice. Similarly, the doctors you are seeing, they possess the same thing, extraordinary ability in studying human body. An MBBS spends almost 6 years studying human body, physiology, biochem, pathology, microbiology, medicine, everything, and he is good enough to take care of your diabetes. And still you have an MD who spends 9 years of his life studying human body and exclusively the way body functions and gives you the best service. And on top of that, another 12 years you will get your endocrinologist. So there is no dearth. I mean, endocrinologist is the highest authority that you can go to for your diabetes condition. Okay, but still the result, you remain diabetic, right? Diabetic means, what is that? So here the painter, he studied with his ability, taking time, what is known as time, to study the baby elephant. How much time are you giving to your doctor to study yourself and to guide you, okay, and get rid of diabetes? So here he studied thoroughly and has come up with extraordinary painting. This is solved, and here it is not solved. So the problem is, your doctor is not the issue. It is how much time are you giving for your condition to your doctor to solve your problem. Okay. So unfortunately, we want our problem to be solved like any other kind of disease. If you look into any medical textbook, the first line of treatment is lifestyle modification. And we saw what lifestyle is in our previous lessons. And changes in diet, physical exercise, and finally managing weight and stress. Stress comes under lifestyle. So all these things are first line of treatment. And who should do that? Your doctor. Any doctor would advise the same things. They will ask you to go and spend quality time with your dietitian, start physical activity, go to a gym or aerobics or yoga, some or the other kind of activity, try to manage your stress level and all these things. But we are programmed to believe in the concept of a magic pill. Because diabetes is not a painful experience for us, just taking a pill is controlling. Who will go through all these things? So here the king gave up his 30 precious days of spending time with his baby elephant. For him, I mean, it's a lot. But how much time did you dedicate and how much effort we have put in solving this problem? Only all of them have failed. Then comes pharmacotherapy, that is medicine, right? So if medicine is unable to control, because 90% of your problem is solved provided we get this right, but we are relying 99% on this. And our approach when we are going to a doctor, I paid you a consultation fee and now it is your job, not my job, it is your job to take care of my condition. So with medicine, though the doctor knows everything about your body, how insulin functions, how it is produced, and what kind of drugs interact with your body, and what is their efficacy, taking into your consideration your height, weight, your lifestyle and all these things, all he can prescribe is a medication. Okay, and we rely 99% on this. Ideally we should be relying 1% on this, 99% on these things. None of us pay attention to this. This is the reason why we still remain diabetic. Okay, so let's go through all these factors why we are unable to, what are the mistakes that we are doing in addressing our diabetes condition. So I have come up with a simplified version of it. We don't have proper, what I would like to call is, we are not going through proper times. Okay, and the T as stands for time, I stands for information, and M stands for money, and E stands for effort, and S stands for the story. Okay, now let us try and understand what do I mean with this. We severely lack in giving our time or times in managing diabetes. That is the reason why more and more people are suffering with diabetes, and more people are facing complications and leading an unfortunate and miserable life. See, one thing a diabetic patient goes through and would never share is this thing. So what would you do if a diabetic patient visits your home, right? When we offer them tea or coffee, we ask out of courtesy, sugar or sugarless. Okay, why do we ask that? Because we are concerned about their health. We don't want to harm them by giving something is not going well with their body. But just try to think from the shoes of a diabetic patient. So you are in a social gathering and somebody comes and asks you specifically, sir, sugar or sugarless, right? And knowing the very fact that you are a diabetic. So what the diabetic patient essentially hears is that the other person is saying, boss, I am okay, but you are sick, right? Every time they hear this, they go through this social discrimination. Okay, right? And they feel that, okay, I am not a healthy person. I am not 100% fit. I am not 100% healthy, right? Nobody would love to be in that place. But all that can be reversed provided we got these 5 things wrong. Let me start with our first one, not with our time, but our story. Okay, any action we do, right? We perform day in and day out so many actions by making a particular choice. And this choice comes from the thought, sponsored by a thought. And this action repeated over a period of time becomes habit. If I ask you, who are you, Mr. or Miss? So you say that you are nothing but collection of these habits. This is you, or this is me. You and me are nothing but a collection of habits. But any action you do or any action you perform, okay, there is an emotion associated with it. When you love doing this particular activity, right? Say for example, you love singing and somebody asks you to sing, right? And you make a choice of singing a song. People appreciate it. So the act of singing comes from a choice and it makes you at ease, right? You perform this action with a lot of ease. On the contrary, somebody asks you to come on stage and give a lecture, address people, and you are not comfortable doing this. Okay, and will you be doing this with a lot of ease? No, you do it with a lot of pain and discomfort. You do it with a lot of dis-ease. Any action we perform, right? Just take a moment to observe how am I approaching my work, whether it is like your professional job or your household chores or dealing with people, dealing with society, watching TV, how you are doing that particular act. You are watching TV and something disturbing, something hatred, something venomous, vitriolic, all these things, right? Whatever you are going through, the kind of emotion, here you are sad, depressed or anxious, and whereas doing this act you are doing with lot of happiness, joy, and you repeat this particular act repeatedly or period of a time, this becomes part of you. You become an accomplished singer. And if you are repeating the same thing over a period of time, say for example, you hate your boss or you hate your family dynamics, probably with your parents or in-laws or spouse or kids or the society as such, and you are forced to live that particular kind of life repeatedly over a period of time, you over a period of time become either bitter or restless or judgmental, and all these things become part of you, right? These are also your habits. How we behave from time to time is, this is, as I said, this is you and me, right? So if this is me and all this is coming from my thought process, can I say I am my thoughts? Yes, I am nothing but my thoughts, whatever thoughts that are there running in my mind. I mean, we discussed already that yad bhavam tad bhavati, the kind of thoughts that we nurture in our mind is creating our physical reality, right? If a person is like very bitter, judgmental, angry, restless, right, reactive in nature, all these things are part of you, right? So there are certain things, say for example, you love like philanthropy, helping out people, you believe in altruism, you believe in spreading love, right? You believe in doing social service, you give enough freedom to people around you, all these things again part of you. So the person we are nothing but the day in and the day out choices we make on a regular basis, whether it is about our food or exercise, keeping our body fit, whether to exercise or not. But what is this thought made up of? Thought contains two things: information and energy. Okay, that means whenever a thought is triggered in our brain, some electrical activity is happening. When you are sleeping, very less electrical activity. When a person is dead, no activity. That means a straight line on EEG. Just like ECG, when you look at the electrical activity, it is called EEG. That means when there is thought triggered in our brain, there is energy that is created, and it also contains some information. What do you call the place where you store your information? It is called memory, right? If our thoughts are made up of our memories and these memories are driving what we are, we can as well say we are nothing but our memories. Okay, and whatever we are, the decisions we make depends upon our choices. I mean, the choices we make and the behavior of us depends upon our past memories. Okay, this creates what is known as a belief system. Okay, and with this belief system, you write a wonderful story about yourself. You write a wonderful story about yourself. Yes, I am 60 years old and I am supposed to get diabetes. And people tend to get older. When they get older, all the organs in our body, they become weak, right? They get sick. Got it? So if that is your belief system, and accordingly will be your behavior. Based on our belief system will be our behavior. What is behavior? What is behavior? The actions you take because of your learnings, because of your experiences with life. Either it could be a painful experience or a joyful experience. Okay, so from this you developed a certain belief system, and again we discussed this already, Belief system is a personal truth. Your truth is different from my truth. There is nothing like absolute truth. Searching for this absolute truth, that and coming to a conclusion, there is nothing like absolute truth, is the purpose of life. Many people, they don't understand. They think that it is some kind of philosophy. So, and we try to play this drama called life, and we end up, we don't play that well, and that's the reason why most of the people, they end up in contracting this diabetes or suffer the complications. But remember, this is all the story that you are scripting every second of your life. So you can always rewrite the story. To rewrite the story, you need to get right kind of information, because unless and otherwise your belief systems are changed. Your belief systems are changed. I have been suffering with diabetes for so many years. I have become old and it is not going to be changed. Tadastu. That is your belief system. Based on that, your behavior is decided, and you don't take right kind of choices, and your body remains sick. But what if the belief system is changed and you choose to rewrite the story? Look at the mother of Milind Soman, the Iron Man of India. At her age, she does push-ups. I think she must be 75 plus or close to 80. At the age of 80, she runs marathons. She does push-ups and she is healthy. And at the age of 100 plus, an old man ran marathon. And a woman in Sweden or Denmark, somewhere from Europe, when diagnosed with this muscular health issue, that doctor said in 3 months you cannot even walk. She started running and she completed 366 marathons in 365 days. 366 marathons, full marathons, that is 42.2 kilometers. One full marathon is running 42.2. She ran every day for 365 days on a trot, and on final day she ran 42.2 twice, because she changed her belief system and she rewrote her story. The body will respond. So we need to understand what we are writing. So to rewrite that story, what do you require? To rewrite that story, what do you require? If we get our story right, make up your mind, you are on path to reverse diabetes. But to rewrite that story, what do you require? Right kind of information. Let me ask you, how many books from authoritative sources that you have read, or popular books on diabetes that you have read, which promises weight loss? Books. And how many programs you attended, either online, right, or offline? How many workshops you attended to gather information about your diabetes? And how many people you consulted who promises right, with evidence that this can be done? What is your investment on acquiring knowledge? Got it? Most of us, we get our information from what is known as a second-handed or borrowed knowledge. And if you are acting on borrowed knowledge and you are taking other people's belief system and try to accommodate into your life, we live what is known as second-hand life. Right? If it works for someone else, it will work for me. And the moment you say that, you are insulting your body. Let me ask you this question. There are 135 crore population in India, and overall it is 7.5 billion people in the entire world. This question, just take a moment and try to reflect. If there are 750 crore population in this world, can there be a person who is an exact replica of you, right? A Xerox copy. A person who is of same height, same weight, same age, same gender, same skin tone, same skin color, same eyes, and works, talks, behaves, smiles, acts like you? Is there another copy of you in this entire world? No, impossible. That means what? You are one in 750 crore population, right? 750, 7.5 billion, 750 crore people, you are only one. And you try to compare yourself with other person. So the moment you say that, you are insulting. You are one in 750 crores means that you are a unique individual, a designer piece. You are here for a purpose. You are here for a reason, not to write a story of sick unit, right? Write a story of a sick unit, non-performing asset. That's not your story. Unknowingly, you have scripted that story because you don't know you did not access the right kind of information. You did not go to the right kind of people. So the moment you understand acquiring right kind of information and applying that information by putting in effort. So what is an effort? Right? We always overestimate. We always overestimate what we can achieve in a day and always underestimate what we can achieve in a year. Okay, we are like creatures of instant gratification. We want quick results. We don't have time, right? We cannot, we don't want to have a proper problem statement. What exactly is the wrong? If my life is not working, my health is not working, my financials are not working, my relationships are not working, let me sit with myself, try to understand, right? What is the effort that requires from my end? Bro, we always happy to blame others for all our mistakes. If you feel that you are a victim of your parents' faulty genes, which is not, I clarified it earlier, your parents' genes has got nothing to do with it. Even if you have diabetic genes, it is like a loaded gun. It is your choices which will pull the trigger. Got it? It is our decision. It is our lifestyle that is pulling the trigger. If we are living in that particular bitter state of mind, judgmental state of mind, and always finding fault with others and always thinking negatively, that's what we are. That means it is a sick mind, and a sick mind is not performing, right? Performing well, and that is the reason why we have a problem. A sick mind leads to a sick body. Got it? So when I say, are we giving enough effort, right? So this body, the muscles will be strong only when given exercise. If you are not doing any kind of activity, they go waste. Right? They decrease in size. Okay, you have 10 servants in your house and only one person is having proper job in your house, because you are only one person living in probably a 2 or 3 bedroom house, right? So do you need 10 people over there? So you will remove all the 9. Same is the case. We are not using our legs, our body, our intelligence, none of it we are putting in any effort. The moment you put in effort to rewrite the story, assess your story, and acquire right kind of information, then the practice of effort comes in. Whenever your doctor says certain things that you need to lose weight, and a doctor is not a weight loss expert, their job is totally different. They are doing absolutely fine with whatever they are supposed to do. They are experts in how a disease progresses, in understanding how a disease progresses, and how a drug works, and how to do a surgery, and how to diagnose a health condition. All of them, they are perfect in their own field. But losing weight is more of a lifestyle. Getting your lifestyle right is the job of a team, right? How much effort did you put in, okay, to come out of this? And taking out, giving this effort involves, for most of us, what is known as money. And my next question is, how much money did you spend? How much money? Most of you might be thinking, I spend a lot on my health, right? So my question is, investment versus expenditure. So expenditure, there are no returns, right? Because you are maintaining a sick unit. Your body has become a sick unit. This is a maintenance cost. This is expenditure. So I don't consider this as investment. Investment, because your health is your wealth. And what do I mean by wealth? Wealth is an asset. How much did you put in to improve your health? So don't think that buying insurance is an investment on health. It will not solve, it will not create health. Again, it is a tool, an instrument to cut down on your expenditure from your own pocket. That is not investment on health. Honestly, what are all the efforts that you need to put in, or what are all the information that you require to rewrite the story of your diabetes? It all requires certain amount of money. We invest a lot in getting sick. We invest a lot in getting sick. Say for example, we are happy living a second-hand life, right? We are happy buying a car which we don't require just to show off. We invest in buying clothes just to impress others. What if the people, they don't appreciate whatever you are wearing? We feel bad, right? If somebody is making you feel bad or sad, or on the other hand, if somebody else is making you happy or joyful, that means your happiness and your sadness, or in short, your total life is dependent on others' reaction. Your happiness is not coming from inside. That means for this we are depending on others, means we are living in a state of mental slavery or intellectual slavery. Okay. So how much money did we put in to actually create an asset called health? Okay. Now I am 60 years old. I can barely walk for 2 to 3 kilometers in a day. Now, I'll go to an expert who will help me walk within 1 year 5 to 6 kilometers comfortably without getting any complications. My knees are getting rusted. I have arthritis. Is there an expert who can help me to stop from progressing the disease, and if a possibility is there, reverse it? Am I investing? So don't mistake your expenditure on disease care as your investment on health care. So this we got totally wrong. And most importantly, the time. What is time? How much time are you allocating? How much time are you allocating in a day to keep yourself healthy? There are so many things. There are so many things that we can do, right? You have 24 hours of time, and at least 1/3 of the time, I mean 6 to 8 hours, quality sleep is the requirement. How much time are we allocating to keep ourselves healthy? Is my sleep good? Okay. And how much time are you spending in getting right kind of information? So there are hundreds and thousands of different kinds of foods, right? It will take 5 to 6 years, just 5 to 6 years to master about the foods and food sciences. You can as well do a graduation degree or a post-graduation degree to know about all the foods which are irrelevant, or just pay a few thousand rupees and go to an expert and get to know about the foods that work for you. That is like utilizing your time smartly. And don't look for cheap information and free information. If something is coming to you freely, that means it is valueless. You bought something for nothing, and when you want to trade it, what you get? Nothing. Got it? If somebody is offering something you for free, okay, so you get no value out of it. Probably it may increase your knowledge level, but you get nothing out of this. So how much time are you able to allocate? So what kind of information? So I want to know about food. What is the best way? I'll go to the best expert or the expert in that particular field and get all the information. I pay for their time, I pay for their knowledge, right? So unfortunately, we don't see the value. We don't see the value of our health as an asset. And we crib and we cry foul and we start blaming everyone. We start blaming people who are selling unhealthy food or adulterated food, and we start blaming everyone else, but we don't look in. Okay, so how much time are you spending? All you need is 1 hour in 24 hours of time, because you have to live in this particular body. Okay, there is a wonderful story. So in Hindu mythology and in Hindu Dharma, they say there are 4 yugas. Right? There is Satya Yuga or Kruta Yuga, there is Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. And according to this philosophy, we are now living in Kali Yuga. So in Satya Yuga, Dharma used to walk on all 4 legs. If it were Dharma was like a holy cow or something like that, or a chariot going on, like a wagon moving on 4 wheels. So in Kruta Yuga, Dharma used to have these 4 wheels or legs intact. That means everyone is righteous and virtuous. There are no conflicts or whatsoever. So God used to live among the people, and they hardly have any problems, and the God is immediately accessible. Then comes Treta Yuga, and one of the limbs or one of the legs or wheels is lost. That means Dharma is moving only on 3 legs. That means Adharma has seeped into our lives. And this because of this adharma, we have more problematic people. That means more problems, and God has become busy. So what God did is, because to avoid inconvenience to people living in the village, the God moved out of the village and established a center over there. And all the village deities that we see in India, the concept of a village deity who is protecting or who is taking care of, there will be a village deity. And then comes Dwapara Yuga. First is Kruta Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara. Dwapara Yuga, the Dharma is walking only on 2 feet or 2 wheels. That means you have equal number of idiots, right, compared to the equal number of right kind of people, righteous people. That means the problems in the world increased, right? Increased manifold. You have equal number of idiots matching the righteous people. So the God's business has become much more. So he has to handle so many cases. So he want to filter out which exactly is the serious problem. So he put a test. He moved on to the topmost and the highest peaks and established himself over there. You see Tirumala, Balaji temple and Kedarnath or whatever it is, every god is sitting on top mountains. And those people who wanted a solution for their problem used to climb that hill, and God used to solve their problem. And then enters Kali Yuga. Here the Dharma is walking only on 1 leg or 1 wheel. That means you have 3 times more idiots compared to the righteous people. That means more adharma or more problems, whether it could be in your health, wealth or relationships or in the society. At a large, you have a lot of issues. So in Kali Yuga, you have this cable cars going up to the hill, you have helicopters, you have roads reaching the hills to all the temples, right? We conquered all these transportation modalities. So God is worried in Kali Yuga. Where should I go? These people, they are going even to space. So where should I hide? I am unable to take this rush. You go to any kind of temple these days, look at the kind of rush, because people are having a lot of problems. Otherwise, you don't have, if you don't have any problem, why would you go to a god? Yeah, nobody is going there to get peace of mind. Everybody is going there and dumping all their problems on God's head. So one wise man advised God, that God, I could see your predicament, your problem. So humans, they will go everywhere to search for a problem. There is one place they will never ever visit or dare to visit or even think of visiting. Go and live inside the heart of humans. They will find reasons for their problem everywhere else, but they don't want to look inside. They never think that they could be a problem. They think that they are virtuous and everyone else in the world is at fault, and they try to search everywhere, but they don't go inside who they are, what they are thinking, what their behavior is with the society, with the people around. So they never look into it. You go there and you will be at peace. And since then, in Kali Yuga, the God is there in every one of us, but we never look into who we are. The moment we see who we are, understand and recorrect ourselves, then we can recreate what is known as a healthy life. So it is in our hands, right? It is the story. It is in our own hands. If you keep listening to your inner voice, so this knows, I mean, you go into deep into yourself and look into the intelligence that exists in each and every cell of our body, each and every organ of our body, and we feel grateful and we never find fault with others, and we live altruistic life, right? Never find fault with anyone, and everybody has a reason to behave the way they are. If someone is behaving rudely or badly or crookedly, it is their problem. Their mind is not in sync, right? You need to be sympathizing with their behavior, and at best what you can do is pray to God, like, let them be a saner person. Okay, give them some kind of intelligence, some kind of wisdom to perform better in their lives. So don't take that. So the moment we look inside, all the answers that you look for, right, and all the help you need will come to you. It is your deepest desire to get rid of this diabetes that made you attend this particular lecture. And from now on, it is your choice whether to go forward in this direction or not. Depends upon, again, the story you have written so far. Either you get stuck like I am like this. This is my belief system that diabetes can never be reversed. The God inside says, okay, yes, take a beta, it cannot be reversed. But if you see the quality or the possibility that exists and think not with a second hand mind, but with your original mind, if you listen to your heart and then take a step, yes, it is possible to reverse. Okay, let me conclude this with a wonderful offer to all of you, that medical science is so advanced these days, and we can do the kidney transplantation. We have been doing it for so long, liver transplantation, even heart transplantation, lung. But one of the most difficult transplantation is transplanting limbs. If a person has lost a hand or a leg, it is difficult to get another person's hand and transplant it and make it work. It is very complex procedure. But now the doctors have mastered this particular art also. But the only thing is, you have to get the limb from a living donor. That is the problem. That is the reason why it is not approved, or a person who is freshly died, and that cannot happen. So someone has to offer. That's the reason why some of the surgeries are happening in black market. So the offer is this. One rich businessman in one of the cities in our country lost both of his hands in an accident, and he is willing to pay you 1 crore rupees of cash, tax free, okay, provided you offer him your both hands while you are alive. If you are willing, anyone who is willing to take this offer, just let me know. How many of you will be willing, whether it is a woman's hand or a man's hand, old man, young man, doesn't matter, right? How many of you are willing to let go of your hand for 1 crore rupees? None of us would take that offer. Why? We don't know why we don't want to voluntarily get rid of something that is there, that is ours, right? Subconscious mind or conscious mind or whatever thought process you are in, we don't take this offer. Why? Deep inside we know that these hands are worth more than 1 crore. And how much is your pancreas worth? And how much your body, total body is worth? And you look at 1 crore worth of Audi car and says, wow, Audi. And you look at yourself and say, oh, body. Right? The moment you realize how valuable this particular body is, and you can take this body experiencing all the things that life is supposed to offer, then you can experience not only diabetes free life, disease free life. That is a possibility. Okay, so how to live that disease free or diabetes free life, we'll be discussing tomorrow on day 5 in a live session. Right, I'll give you a roadmap, a blueprint, the plan, everything. So I request you all not to miss the session of tomorrow's live. So that is not going to be a recorded session, it is going to be live. So I request all of you to attend tomorrow's live session. Thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow.